With our energy grids getting more fragile by the day, the comfort and safety of your own home are no longer a given. But what if you could turn your house into a thermal fortress, ready for any winter, without anyone even knowing? Forget the standard pink insulation you already know about. I'm going to show you 12 overlooked and often cheap insulation tricks and materials that are absolutely key to keeping your heat, staying warm, and being secure, no matter what's happening outside. Look, that's not about fear. It's about being capable. Relying on a shaky, centralized grid for something as basic as heat is a vulnerability we can't afford anymore. For those of us chasing a self-reliant lifestyle, taking control of your home's thermal performance isn't just another project, it's a declaration of independence. The problem is, most people hear insulation and think about tearing down walls and spending a fortune on renovations. That's not what we're doing today. We're talking about fortifying the home you're in times right now, asterisk. We're talking about materials you can quietly stack in a garage or shed, ready to deploy when you need them, or just chip away at, weekend by weekend. These are the solutions that don't need a construction crew, but can make a massive difference when your only heat source is a wood stove, a small generator, or the sun. This isn't about meeting building codes, it's about blowing past them for the sake of real-world resilience. It's understanding that every bit of heat you generate is precious, and every bit you keep from escaping is a win. These 12 methods are your arsenal. We'll cover everything from high-tech kits to low-tech strategies that have worked for centuries. Let's get started. Number 1. Closed-cell spray foam kits. First up is the most powerful weapon in the retrofitting arsenal: DIY closed-cell spray foam kits. You've probably heard of spray foam, but you picture pros with giant trucks. What's overlooked is the power of the portable, two-part kits you can buy and store yourself. These kits, 2 tanks, a hose, and a gun, are your secret weapon for making parts of your home airtight and super insulated. What makes closed-cell foam so good? 3 things. First, its R value, that's the measure of thermal resistance, is incredibly high, coming in at about R6 to R6.7 per inch. To put that in perspective, standard fiberglass can be half of that. You get way more insulating power in the same space, which is critical when you can't just make your walls thicker. Second, it's an air barrier. When it expands, it doesn't just fill a space, it seals it, creeping into every crack to stop drafts cold. Bats and rolls just can't do that. Finally, it functions as a vapor barrier. At sufficient thickness, closed-cell foam has a very low permeance to moisture, which helps prevent damp, cold air from causing mold or rot, a huge plus for basements or older homes. For a prepper, stockpiling these kits is surprisingly easy. They come boxed up and have a shelf life of a year or more. Having a few of these means you can permanently fortify the weakest spots in your house. Think about the rim joists in your basement where the wood frame sits on the concrete foundation. That spot is notoriously leaky. A weekend with one of these kits can seal that entire perimeter, basically creating a seamless, insulated band around the base of your home. You can use it on crawlspace walls, attic hatches, or the floor above a cold garage. It's the ultimate gap filler and insulator in one, and the fact you can do it yourself makes it a top-tier choice for fortifying your home. Number 2. Rigid foam boards. Next, let's talk about one of the most versatile and easy to stockpile materials out there: rigid foam boards. These 4x 8-foot sheets are the unsung heroes of practical insulation. We're mainly talking about 3 types: polyisocyanurate, polyiso, extruded polystyrene, XPS, which is the pink or blue stuff, and expanded polystyrene, EPS, the white beaded foam. They all have one thing in common: they're incredibly useful for retrofitting. Their big advantage is a high R value in a dense, solid board. Polyiso can hit an R value of R6 per inch or more. You can layer these boards on top of existing surfaces to add a continuous blanket of insulation. This creates what's called a thermal break. In a normal wall, the wooden studs act like highways for cold to travel from the outside straight into your house. By putting a continuous sheet of rigid foam over your basement walls or the outside of a shed, you break that highway and make the whole wall perform better. The stockpiling angle is dead simple. The boards are light, they stack perfectly in a barn or garage, and while they can be damaged by sunlight or pests over the long term, they are quite durable when stored properly. You can grab a dozen sheets and be ready for anything. Drafty attic hatch? Cut a piece of foam for a perfect, airtight fit, uninsulated concrete basement? Glue the boards directly to the walls to stop that radiating cold. You can even cut strips to stuff into your rim joists. For a bigger project, you can dig down a few feet around your foundation and put boards against the concrete. This insulates the thermal mass of your foundation, keeping your floors warmer all winter. Because they're easy to work with, you just need a utility knife. Their stackability and high performance make rigid foam boards a must-have. Number 3. Mineral wool. Now for what I call the guardian insulation, because of its sheer resilience. Mineral wool, often known by the brand name rock wool. It's made by spinning molten rock into fibers, and its best qualities are often overlooked. For upgrading an existing home, mineral wool's unique stack of features makes it one of the smartest and safest choices you can make. First, performance. It has a respectable R value, around R4 per inch, which is a bit better than standard fiberglass. But its real talent isn't just stopping heat, it's how it deals with real life. Mineral wool is extremely fire-resistant. It can take temperatures over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit without burning, which gives you an incredible layer of fire protection. That's a huge deal if you're heating with a wood stove where stray embers are a real possibility. On top of that, it's hydrophobic, meaning it repels water. If it gets damp, it dries out and keeps its original R value, which helps prevent mold. This makes it a great choice for basements or wall cavities where you're not totally sure about moisture, though you still want to avoid areas with constant water saturation. Another key trait is that mineral wool is breathable. It lets water vapor pass through. In an older home designed to breathe, trapping moisture inside walls with a non-permeable foam can cause rot. Mineral wool lets the wall dry out as intended. For this reason alone, it's an incredibly smart choice for old farmhouses or cabins. As a bonus, it's amazing at deadening sound, which just makes your home feel more peaceful and solid. You can stockpile it in bats, just like fiberglass, but you're getting a far tougher and more forgiving material. For fire safety, moisture management, and solid thermal performance, mineral wool is a top-tier choice. Number 4. Sheep wool insulation. Let's shift from man-made rock to one of nature's best insulators, sheep wool. For a long time, this was just seen as a niche green product, but for an off-grid home, its unique properties make it one of the smartest materials you can use. People often skip over it because its R value, around R3, 5 to R3, 8 per inch, doesn't look impressive next to foam, but that's missing the point entirely. The most incredible thing about sheep wool is how it handles humidity. Wool is hygroscopic, meaning it can absorb huge amounts of water vapor from the air without feeling wet or losing its insulating power. It can hold up to a third of its own weight in moisture and still work. Think about what that means in a sealed-up cabin during winter. Breathing, cooking, and just living produces a lot of moisture. In a house sealed with plastic foam, that moisture gets trapped, leading to condensation and a damp, unhealthy feeling. Sheep wool acts like a buffer. It soaks up that excess humidity and releases it when the air gets drier, naturally regulating the humidity in your home without any complex machinery. On top of that, the proteins in wool fibers actually pull harmful pollutants like formaldehyde out of the air and lock them away permanently. It literally cleans the air in your home. It's also naturally fire-resistant. It just chars and smolders instead of bursting into flame. From a stockpiling standpoint, it comes in easy to store bats and rolls. It's also completely safe to handle without gloves or a mask, which is a nice bonus for any DIYer. It might cost more upfront, but its ability to manage moisture and improve air quality makes it a strategically superior choice for older homes, cabins, or any building where breathability is key. Number 5. Reflective foil insulation. Our fifth insulation works on a completely different principle. We're talking about reflective foil, or a radiant barrier. A lot of people misuse this stuff because they try to compare its R value to fiberglass or foam, but it doesn't work that way. A radiant barrier doesn't slow heat transfer. It reflects thermal radiation, and if you use it right, it's a huge advantage. Heat moves in 3 ways: conduction, convection, and radiation. Most insulation only stops the first 2. A radiant barrier stops the third. Think of a thermos. The shiny lining reflects the heat from your coffee back into the liquid. A radiant barrier does the same thing for your house. In the winter, heat rises into your attic and radiates toward the cold roof. If you staple reflective foil to the underside of your attic rafters, you reflect a huge amount of that radiant heat back down into your living space. This is an incredibly efficient way to boost your heat retention. The material is thin, light, and comes in big rolls, making it one of the easiest things to stockpile. You can store enough for a whole attic in a tiny space. Installation is simple, all you need is a staple gun. But here's the absolute key. You must have an air gap next to the shiny side for it to work. If you sandwich it between two solid surfaces, it does nothing. That's why it's perfect for the underside of roof rafters or floor joists over a crawl space. A pro-level move is to combine a radiant barrier with bulk insulation, put a deep layer of cellulose or mineral wool on your attic floor to stop conduction, and then add a radiant barrier under the roof to stop radiation. That 1-2 punch is far more effective than just piling on more of the same. This stuff has another use too. You can tack it over windows during a cold snap to create temporary insulated curtains, reflecting heat back into the room. Its low cost, easy storage, and unique function make it a critical and often forgotten part of any home fortification plan. Number 6. Foam sealants and expanding foam cans. This next one isn't some huge roll of insulation. It's an army of small but powerful soldiers in the war against heat loss. Cans of spray, foam, sealant, and caulk. It's shocking how many people will drop thousands on new windows but ignore the tiny cracks and gaps that add up to leaving a window open all winter. If you want to fortify your home, mastering air sealing is the single most cost-effective thing you can do. Your main weapon? The humble can of expanding foam. These sealants are all about stopping uncontrolled air movement. You've got your standard expanding foam for bigger gaps around pipes and vents. You've got low expansion foam made for window and door frames that won't warp them. And you've got high-quality caulk for smaller seams along baseboards and trim. The goal is simple. Stop every draft. Every bit of cold air that sneaks in forces your heat source to work harder. Every bit of warm air that leaks out is wasted fuel. Stockpiling this stuff is easy. A case of foam and a box of caulk tubes take up almost no space on a shelf, but can transform your home's heat retention. Your mission is to go on a search and destroy hunt for leaks. Get in your basement and look where the house sits on the foundation. Seal every spot where a pipe or wire goes through the wall. Pop the cover plates off electrical outlets on exterior walls and use a tiny puff of foam to seal the gaps around the boxes. A crazy amount of air leaks through those. Caulk along the top and bottom of your baseboards. The combined effect of these small fixes is massive. It's not glamorous, but for bang for your buck impact, mastering air sealing is the first and most important step. It makes all your other insulation work better. Number 7. Cellulose insulation. Now, let's talk about one of the oldest and best forms of insulation, one that's often overlooked by DIYers: cellulose. It's made from recycled newspaper treated with non-toxic borates to resist fire and pests. But its biggest advantage is how it's installed, which makes it perfect for adding insulation to an existing home without a major demolition. Cellulose is usually blown into cavities. For an old, empty wall, you can drill a small hole from the inside or outside, stick a hose in, and pack the cavity full of dense cellulose. Then you just patch the hole. It's a minimally invasive way to bring an old wall up to modern standards. For an attic, it's even easier. You can rent a blower from a big box store, dump bags of cellulose into it, and spray a deep, seamless blanket of insulation over the entire attic floor. This is way better than laying bats because the loose-fill cellulose flows around every pipe and wire, leaving zero gaps for heat to escape. From a preparedness standpoint, cellulose is perfect. It comes in compressed bags that are easy to stack and store for years. The R value is great, around R3, 7 per inch, on par with other fibrous insulations. But it's more than just R value. When packed into a wall, it's so dense that it does a fantastic job of stopping air movement, making it highly air-resistant. It's also great for soundproofing. The borate treatment not only makes it fire retardant but also makes it poison to insects and rodents, a huge bonus for any rural home. The only thing to watch for is moisture. It's not the right choice for a damp basement. But for dry walls and attics, it's one of the best performing and most practical retrofit insulations out there. Number 8. Natural fiber insulations. Beyond sheep wool, there's a whole family of overlooked natural fiber insulations that are perfect for the health-conscious homeowner. This includes things like cotton from recycled denim, hemp, and even wood fiber. Just like wool, people sometimes pass on them because their R values are around R3, 5 per inch. Not as high as foam, but they offer a ton of other benefits, especially for the health and durability of your home. The main shared benefit here is breathability. Materials like hemp and wood fiber are vapor permeable, which means they can absorb and release moisture. This helps buffer the humidity inside your home and stops condensation from forming inside your walls. This is critical in older homes that weren't built to be airtight plastic boxes. Using breathable insulation lets the building structure dry out, preventing mold and rot. Cotton insulation, made from old blue jeans, is another great choice that's completely non-irritating to work with, no itching like you get from fiberglass. These materials also mean healthier indoor air. They don't off-gas the volatile organic compounds, VOCs, that some foam insulations can, which is a big deal when you're sealing your house up tight for the winter. Hemp insulation, in particular, is naturally resistant to mold and pests. Wood fiber comes in both flexible bats and rigid boards, offering great thermal performance and amazing sound dampening. For stockpiling, they're just as easy as any other bat insulation. Choosing natural fibers is a strategic move. You're prioritizing the long-term health of your house and your family by picking an insulation that works with your home's natural design, not against it. Number 9. Strategic exterior landscaping. This next method is one of my favorites because it's a secret fortification hiding in plain sight. It costs almost nothing, gets better every year, and actively protects your home. I'm talking about using strategic landscaping as a form of living insulation. This is an ancient technique that's been almost completely forgotten, but it's pure genius for retaining heat. The main idea is to create a windbreak. A cold winter wind hammering your walls literally sucks the warmth right out of them. The solution? Plant a dense row of evergreens like arborvitae or juniper about 3 to 5 feet away from your foundation, focusing on the side that gets the most winter wind. As they grow, they form a thick, living wall that stops the wind cold. The area between the shrubs and your house becomes a pocket of still air, which is a great insulator. This little microclimate around your foundation can help reduce the amount of heat leached out of your basement or crawl space, keeping your floors warmer. Be smart about it. Planting too close can trap moisture against the foundation, so give it some space. This has other perks too. In the summer, the same plants provide shade and help keep your home cool. It's a one-time planting effort that pays you back for decades. It requires no stockpiling, no maintenance besides a little trimming, and it makes your property look better. Your neighbors will just see nice shrubs. You'll know you've built a living thermal shield around your home. Number 10. Strategic thermal mass. Our 10th strategy isn't about stopping heat from escaping. It's about storing it inside your home. This is the concept of thermal mass, and it's a game changer if you're using a wood stove or passive solar heat. Thermal mass is any dense material that can soak up heat and then release it slowly over time. By adding thermal mass inside your house, you create a heat battery that smooths out temperature swings and keeps you warm long after the fire dies down. Most modern homes are built with lightweight drywall and have very little thermal mass, which is why they get cold the second the furnace clicks off. We can bring that concept back. The materials are simple: stone, brick, concrete, even water. The trick is to put the mass where it will get hit by your heat source. For example, building a stone or brick wall behind your wood stove isn't just for looks. That masonry will absorb intense heat all day. When the fire dies down, that warm wall will continue to radiate gentle heat into the room for hours. Another powerful and overlooked trick is using water. Water can store a massive amount of heat. You can get some food-grade barrels, paint them black to absorb heat better, and place them where they'll get direct sun. All day, the sun heats the water. As night falls and the air cools, that stored heat radiates back into the room. A few things to keep in mind, of course. Make sure your floor can handle the weight, and be mindful of potential spills or leaks. By pairing a well-insulated house with a lot of internal thermal mass, you create a truly resilient system. You're creating a stable, thermal flywheel that keeps you comfortable and drastically cuts down on how much fuel you need to burn. Number 11. The ultimate gap fillers. Now we get to your last line of defense. This is about being resourceful in a real grid-down emergency, using materials you can easily stockpile or find around the house to create temporary but effective insulation. These tricks might not have a fancy R value, but when it's freezing and the power's out, they can make all the difference. First, your windows. A huge amount of heat pours right through the glass. You can buy cheap window insulation kits with plastic film and double-sided tape. You stretch the film across the window frame, creating a new pocket of still air. Shrinking it tight with a hairdryer makes it almost invisible and surprisingly effective. You can stockpile dozens of these kits in a drawer. In a real pinch, even bubble wrap taped to the glass works. All those trapped air bubbles are great insulators. Second, seal off entire rooms. In a long-term outage, trying to heat your whole house is a losing battle. The smart play is to move everyone into one smaller, well-insulated, warm room. Use heavy blankets, tarps, or plastic sheeting tacked up over the doorways to isolate this room from the rest of the house. This radically reduces the amount of space you have to keep warm. Finally, think basic. That door snake your grandma used? It works. Just roll up a towel and stuff it against the bottom of an exterior door to stop drafts. Stockpiled cardboard can be taped over a broken window or used to add a quick insulating layer to a thin wall. The principle is always the same. Trap air and stop it from moving. Having the materials and the know-how to improvise is a critical part of being prepared. Number 12. Zip system sheathing and structural panels. Our final strategy is a bit more advanced. It's for a deep retrofit, or for building a new shed or workshop you want to be a fortified space. We're talking about integrated insulated sheathing, and the Huberwood zip system is a perfect example. People think of it as just for new construction, but its properties make it an amazing tool for creating a high-performance structure, and you can stockpile the panels if you have the room. So what is it? The zip system comes in two main versions. The standard version combines a wood structural panel OSB with a built-in weather-resistant barrier, getting rid of the need for house wrap. The version we're interested in is called Zip-R sheathing. It takes that same panel and adds a layer of continuous rigid foam insulation to the exterior. When you put the panels up, you seal the seams with a special tape. The result is a structure that's incredibly strong, airtight, and well-insulated, all in one go. Why is this an overlooked strategy for us? Because people see it as a whole house system. But think smaller. Say you have a drafty old garage. You could, over time, resheath the entire thing with Zip-R panels. You'd be adding structural strength, a continuous layer of exterior insulation that creates a perfect thermal break, and a new air and water barrier all at once. You'd instantly turn a flimsy outbuilding into a hyper-efficient space that could be easily heated with a tiny stove, a perfect bug-out spot, right on your own property. Stockpiling is straightforward if you have the space. They're 4x8 panels you can stack and cover. The R value is built right in, with Zip-R options offering R values from R3, 6, up to R12, 6, depending on the foam thickness. The real magic is the airtight, integrated system. By putting the insulation on the outside, you keep the building's wood frame warm and dry, which gets rid of condensation problems and makes it last longer. It's a bigger job, but for anyone serious about creating a truly energy-independent homestead, using systems like this is the ultimate step in fortification. Alright, that was a lot of information, but the point isn't to overwhelm you, it's to arm you with options. Every home is different, and the right combination of these strategies will be unique to you. So now it's your turn. Which of these overlooked methods are you already using? What's the one idea from this list you're going to tackle this season? Drop it in the comments below. Your experience helps all of us become more prepared. And if you got value out of this and want to keep learning how to fortify your life, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. We're building a community of capable people here, and you should be a part of it. The message today is simple. Be proactive. Waiting for the power to go out to think about staying warm is a plan for failure. By taking smart, deliberate steps now, by stockpiling the right materials and systematically killing your home's weak spots, you take back control. You make yourself less dependent on fragile systems and more reliant on your own foresight. Turning your home into a thermal fortress isn't one giant project, it's a series of small wins. It's sealing a rim joist this weekend. It's planting a windbreak next spring. It's blowing cellulose into your attic in the fall. Each step is another layer of resilience, another step towards real peace of mind. You won't just be ready for an emergency. You'll have a more comfortable home and lower energy bills every single day. The power to stay warm and secure is in your hands. Start building your fortress, stay warm, and stay prepared.